exist. So I propose that we should do that.
Yeah, members content? Thank you. Okay, members, moving on then to agenda item 10, which is the sign language bill. So, members, we do now need to consider a number of items in relation to the sign language bill. There's the clerk's memo outlining the proposed process at page 365. You've also been provided at page 369 with a draft timetable for consideration of the bill. Are members content to agree the timetable?
Yeah.
Thank you, members. You have also been provided at page 371 with a draft motion to extend committee stage till 13th February 2026. So just to emphasise, members, the February 2026 date is a limit rather than a target. And please bear in mind, this includes a period of a 6-week call for evidence, and also the fact that there will be periods of recess at Easter, summer, autumn and Christmas impacting. So effectively, when you take the call for evidence and recess periods, it's around 6 months for committee's consideration of this bill. The plan makes provision for 10 evidence sessions planned on a fortnightly basis. These have been planned fortnightly, as we must also be mindful of the fact that after each evidence session, which will be signed, we are going to clip that session to put it on the website, but this is going to take around 24 to 48 hours to produce. The committee team also plan to produce a summary communication of what happened in relation to the bill at the Communities Committee this week. So that'll be a kind of a regular update. What happened to the bill at the communities this week. Slide summary, which will be interpreted in both sign languages and used in social media update posts. So that's an attempt to be effectively communicate the work of the committee to that sector. Yeah, go ahead, Sean.
I just think, Chair, I wanted to, I suppose, commend the process. I think this is a really good example of how we can make something that is relevant to a particular section of our community relevant, accessible, and whilst I'm not always in favour of extending committee stages longer than we need to, I think that there's justification here if we're trying to do everything that we possibly can to be as accessible as we possibly can. So I just want to commend that process.
Thank you. Also, members, please note the call for evidence is scheduled to begin on Friday 7th of March, and that will take a period of 6 weeks. This date also depends on the availability of ISL and BSL interpreters to help prepare materials for the call for evidence survey to allow respondents to provide their responses in sign language. The proposed extension of the committee stage of the bill will also allow a degree of flexibility for the team to access interpretation in order to make our consideration stage as inclusive and robust as possible. In terms of taking a realistic approach, this committee scrutinises the department with a significant remit, and we will also need to carry out all of our normal committee business on a weekly basis, considering statutory rules, proposals for secondary legislation, and other briefing sessions such as budget, wandering rounds, sessions with the Minister, etc. As well as wanting to ensure that we have robust scrutiny of this bill itself. So I think those are all key factors. Go ahead, Kelly.
Can I just suggest, in our promotion piece it says we want to hear your views. Can we change that to know your views?
Yeah.
It's just, we are talking about sign language, so it's just to be in the language. But the other thing as well I wanted to ask is our consultation. I've seen the draft questions there. Given the fact that we know that people who use sign language, written English, may be an issue, have we got alternative options available should anyone wish to have those questions in sign or easy read?
We're signing all of the questions.
Wow, very good.
And there's going to be an option to record evidence and send it by video.
That's superb. No, to be honest, I know and I appreciate that it has been a long time in coming, but I'm always a great believer in a committee should take as long a time as it needs to take. And if we don't need to have as many evidence sessions, then we won't need all of this time. And I appreciate the department may well come back and be a bit upset with us talking about this length of time. But to be honest, given the amount of interpretation, and there is a lack of sign language legislation that helps us to ensure that there's enough interpreters available, I think that taking our time and making sure we get this right, because as I spoke about in the second stage, there are a number of areas that I think is a bit light in the bill that we could perhaps think about updating or getting the department to.
Yeah, and I have to say my reading of the bill as well would indicate to me that there will be areas that we will want to focus on. So I certainly want to ensure that we provide the best bill we can in relation to this and the most effective bill we can in conjunction with the department. So I think that is, if necessary, takes a little bit longer. I think it's worthwhile getting it right. I think that's something we should consider. Mm-hmm. So therefore, members content then that we extend the committee stage to 13th February. Yep, 2026. Yep, thank you. Okay, are members content that this motion then to extend is lodged with the Business Office? Yep. Members, you've invited there at page 372 with the draft signposting advert calling for evidence on the bill. And is that part of what Kelly has mentioned there, a tweak to that? Provided with that tweak included, are members content that a copy of the advert is placed in the 3 main daily newspapers?
Yep.
Yep. Thank you, members. You've also been provided a page 373, members, with the draft questions for the call for evidence. Are members content to agree the questions for the call for evidence? Yep. Content. Thank you, members. And members, just before we move, we'll not go to so we'll come back to that raised briefing there. We'll come back to agenda item 11. The Minister is here, so we will revert back to the session with the Minister. So, if I could ask, we'll get the Minister.